Welcome, everybody, to the Facerocker Podcast, number 61. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. This should be coming out just after Thanksgiving for you folks in the U.S. This week, we're in the studio. We sit down with Will Campos, writer of VGHS, and Lauren Haroutunian, good friend and also dean of the Rocketjump Film School. So we talk a little bit about the film school and what we're planning. Lauren talks a little bit about her days as a professor. We get into a little bit of a weird tirade about chain restaurants, video games, a little bit of a little bit of everything this week. So hope you enjoy it. And if you do enjoy it, head on over to podsurvey.com/facerocker. Fill out a quick survey here. Lets us know kind of who you all are out there. It helps out the podcast immensely. And you got the chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. And we're going to be giving away 3 Rocketjump VGHS merch prize packs, Steam games, the whole deal. So podsurvey.com/facerocker. And please do enjoy this podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another Facerocker podcast. Today, joined by 2 relative people not very well often. No, we're starting over.
Wow. No. Keep
starting
that.
over. No, we're starting over. Cut.
Everybody should know that's how it starts. We're here
with 2 of the non-most important people at Rocketjump, but they weren't doing anything.
Two other people that were in the office.
Will Campos to our left, and for the first time, Lauren Haroutunian, dean of the Rocketjump Film School. Say hi, Lauren.
Hey.
Yeah, there we go. Is this the... No, we've had females on before, but...
Wow.
No.
Females.
We've had the...
Have we had females on?
We should do like a
This is the
4
first
minute.
time we've had a Rocketjump employee female
That's
person
true.
on.
That's the
hasn't been
sound
on?
of a glass ceiling being shattered right there.
and cutting everyone underneath
pioneer.
it. And just slicing everyone
We
underneath
should
it to
just give
ribbons.
Frey a 5-minute warm up before just throwing him out into the wild to start a podcast from now on.
How dare you? 1, Matt, how
that
dare
was
you?
That was a start.
2,
of something.
2, I don't see you stepping up to the plate, the
Next podcast,
introductory
let's do it.
plate.
Next
Okay,
podcast.
Matt, from now on, Matt Chat's going to kick
I'll
these
prepare
off.
myself.
This will be the
I'll
last...
act like a professional and figure out what I'm going to say before I start talking.
That's going to come bite you so
let's do
hard
it.
in the end.
Remember, listen
Ladies
to
and
this.
gentlemen, this is my final podcast as the
Facerocker host.
Facerocker host. We're handing over the reins to Matt, creator of Matt Chat 24/7.
Hi.
Matt will be introducing the podcast from now on. Apparently, because I'm not doing it well enough. So Lauren is the, as I mentioned, dean of the Rocketjump Film School. Also, by the way, you're listening to this just after Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody! Yay!
Yay.
If you're in Canada, you already had your Thanksgiving, and if you're everyone else, actually, it's only a US thing. Anyway,
Everybody else already also had their Thanksgiving because we just said it's going to be after Thanksgiving.
that's true.
Strike 2 for Freddie on the hosting
Wow.
banter for
Just gonna mark
the start
this.
of the...
Good
Right
God.
here.
Lauren, dean of the Rocketjump Film School. Let's get a little film school update. We've been working on stuff sort of behind the scenes as VGHS was going during the production and the post of VGHS. So where are we at? What's going on?
Well, we originally were slated to start December 1st, but because of
Our hubris, we didn't do that.
as we do every single time, we're like, oh, we can totally have something done by this ridiculously fast date.
We were originally going to start when VGHS started.
October
Yeah.
The idea was that it was going to launch simultaneously with VGHS, and that was an insane idea.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was a bad idea. But we are doing a soft launch December 1st, and we're going to release a few of the videos that we already have and put them exclusively like on the forums and on our the Rocketjump Film School YouTube channel and get feedback. So it's going to be like a giant workshop for those who are really excited to start with Rocketjump Film
Yeah,
School,
so-
and we get to kind of shape the school the way you guys want it. So we're kind of really excited about that, and then hopefully we'll have a big, like, crazy, awesome launch in maybe February.
Yeah, that's the other thing that we
March?
wanted to do, like really cool. We have this really cool idea for the
That's
intro
so
video
cool.
to
Yeah.
introduce the.
There's like a freeze
school.
frame explosion, and
Yeah, there's going to be
super
like a
cool
whole
stuff.
like big one take where we introduce kind of like the whole, everything we're going to be teaching at the film school and what's the idea behind it. I think also just like stylistically, it's supposed to kind of show how our film school is different from other online tutorials because we don't want to be just people talking in front of a green screen. Like, this is how you do it. We kind of want to be, entertaining in the
it's
same
gonna
way.
be Rocket Jump, but
Yeah.
in an educational format. So it's gonna be
Exactly.
funny. It's gonna have ridiculous effects. It's gonna have basics, but it's also gonna have the intermediate and advanced stuff. So because we have such a broad audience, we have people who are just getting into film. I get a lot of emails from kids being like, "I'm only 14, I'm only 15, like, but I want to do videos. And I'm like, well, you can do them. You can do them right now.
Yep.
So we're going to start with that kind of stuff, but we're also going to have stuff for our more advanced filmmaker types that are like, I need this specific tutorial on 3ds Max right now. So
yeah, well, I think it's also the idea is also for it just to be kind of on the more practical side of things, because kind of on in the realm of if you're doing YouTube videos or lower budget videos, what's actually practical. Because one of the films that's finished that you guys did, and it was with you and Freddie, was lenses, and it's not like, here's the best lens and stick it out of focus test.
$6,000 lens.
This is the lens test.
Here's focus tests, and this.
You can see the chromatic aberration here when we go at the longest focal length.
Lens here.
No.
Notice that this still image. There's so many of those lens tests, by the way, like mostly on Vimeo. Looking at you, Vimeo. Vimeo users. A lot of those lens tests I love because it's like so clearly the person was like, I've gotten this new lens now to test it out. And they literally got on Google Maps and went the first park they could find. And it's just like every shot is just like, this is the park that's closest to my house. There's the boat on the little river here. And you'll know, and it's like every single one, I swear, like nobody at any point, and it's like at some point during one of these lens tests, it's like, this is an old man I found on the street in the dark lighting a cigarette. Notice how the light comes across from the single light source. It's like, I can't tell you how many times you've seen like a dude lighting a match or a cigarette in the dark who's old. Like every lens test has one of those.
To be fair, didn't you guys light a match in the dark for your lens test?
We did.
We did, but we make fun of it.
But it's cool when we do it.
But we acknowledge that it's dumb. But you guys did do like a
But
more
it's cool
practical
we
test.
know that's dumb.
But you guys did a more practical, like, here's a $200, $2,000, and $20,000 lens. Here's it shot in practical situations.
Like, what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Can
And
you
then
tell?
Can a DP, not even can you tell, can a DP tell?
Did you guys do like a blind taste test with
We
John
did
Salmon
it
or
with
something?
John and Sean and Jamie. Somebody with
The control, who knows nothing.
DPs.
And there's 20 questions, and Sean got 8 of them. John got 7 of them right, and Jimmy got 6 of them right. So
Nice.
all of them less than 50%, and Jamie one away from John Salmon. DPS.
Yeah, each one just a hair's breadth more than if you had just randomly picked, but not to spoil the content of what's
Just
going
spoiled, but
Yeah.
we'll have tons more.
There's
To spoil
Think
the
about this.
Right
Think
now
about
at the end.
our willingness to spoil that should tell you how awesome the rest of it's going to be. If we're going to just throw that under the bus without even any thought whatsoever, then why not?
And there's going to be a ton of VGHS related stuff too. So people who are still having aching pains of loss and mourning can tune in and
For those
see how
of
we
you-
did some certain stuff.
Every episode of Film School should reveal the ultimate fate of one VGHS character.
Oh my God.
One canon fate
Every
of that
week.
character is revealed every week.
just
It's
cuts
going to
to
be
black.
like Pottermore, but for VGHS.
But there's so many questions left unanswered. Where does Brian go to college? What's his first job? What does he name his first child?
Is this up to me?
Does
Can
Brian
I
ever
start
get a
writing
dog?
canon?
Does he get a dog?
What if does Cheeto? When does Cheeto die? All of these questions and more.
For all those who
Oh,
have
no.
listened to the 50 hours of me and Will talking bullshit about Video Game High School, don't worry. There's going to be more writing talk about Video Game High School coming up in the film school.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, we have our debut as
Away from
as
Keyboard.
film school teachers in Away from Keyboard.
Yeah.
Our web series writing guy.
Which we've done one episode, and we'll probably do more, assuming that...
We have a bunch lined up.
Assuming it doesn't get canceled from being disliked right away.
Yeah, so the idea is for the film school is to encompass as many aspects of production, a modern day online production, the kind of stuff that seems to be ever more slowly and quickly becoming the norm in terms of what comes out, and being a place where maybe you don't necessarily get these lessons from traditional film schools, but hopefully that you can get from us, informed by our years of doing things online. Yeah,
And I think what sets Rocketjump Film School apart also is that we're not just showing you how to replicate a certain thing. Like, here's exactly how you use this editing program. It's how to make the best edits for your story, how to choose the camera that's best for your story, how to use what you have that's best for your story. So it doesn't matter what editing program you make a cut in. Everyone has the same tools, but it's where you put your cuts and why you make those choices. And
yeah,
that
we ain't
kind of
giving
stuff.
you fish. We teaching you how to fish.
Oh. That's
Exactly.
actually really good.
We might give you
Metaphor.
fish, though.
We might give you some fish to play around with, but we'll also teach you
Well,
how
that's actually
to
one of the
fish.
exciting things we've talked about doing. So we know
This is
with,
a wild Alaskan salmon. I found it in the river outside my house. So
I
A
shot
bear
it on,
knocked it into my willing hands.
on a
Is this
16
guy
to 24
the same
lens.
guy who shot the lens test?
you
He's
can
also
see it
a
has 9,000
fisherman.
scales. It weighs about 2.3 pounds.
On the 24 lens, you can't see the whole fish. If I move it to a 16, you can now see the tail and the head of the
The
fish.
depth of field gets a little bit wider on the 16 if you want to.
But one of the exciting things we're talking about doing is also a lot of community. The other big difference is that we want to do a lot of community involvement, and some of the ideas and that we're excited about that we're doing is like, for example, in the editing class, one of the things we want to do is give the raw footage of different scenes
Yeah,
of
we
VGHS.
did that, and we did that with Beach Justice way back in the day,
Yeah.
and it was one of the things we realized was a couple of things. One, first of all, a lot of people are like, I want to learn how to edit, but I don't have any footage to edit. So that's a sort of an impediment. And it's one thing to say, well, go out and shoot some footage. It's another thing to say, well, here's some footage that you can actually work with, you know?
Yeah, so it's like, what are difficult, and we came up with like, what are good scenes that have a lot
Yeah.
of good coverage and are different.
And we realized,
that you can shoot on VGHS.
Yeah, and we realized that with Beach Justice, when we did this experiment a few years back, the problem was that wasn't like an action scene, and there's really not, the way we shoot those, there's not a lot of options for you as an editor.
Well, you essentially
because-
shoot it as you're going to edit it
Yeah.
because we have to shoot so quickly.
You have it edited in your
Yeah.
head before
Yeah.
you even go
so
in.
we'll have more scenes where there's more traditional coverage, more options, and
Like we
more
might give you
directions.
the law wait in the car Brian scene.
Oh, that'd be a
Because
good one.
that's
yeah.
a really, that's the first thing we shot, which means we kind of over covered it. So there's a lot of footage.
Yes.
And it's also one of the harder scenes to edit because it's kind of three different people and
Three
they come in
eye
different
lines.
times, 3 eye lines. It's just actually a surprisingly hard scene to edit. And because as Brian Frenzy, you're also dealing with like vastly different performances
Yes.
across.
Well, that's
thing.
the other thing that's great is everyone will be able to see all of the different crazy things Brian gave them in that
Yeah,
scene.
and they can also judge our decisions and all performance choices, etc.
Yeah, you can see how we constructed the scene and how different the scene would play out depending on which performance you used or the rhythm of your editing and that kind of stuff.
And then we're
So-
gonna give out grades, and pretty much whoever gets closest to exactly the way we edit it gets an A+. And the farther away you are from our 100% correct decision,
Algorithmically, we
That's
can
not
determine
true.
that. Yeah.
So objectively, we are the best filmmakers. So
And Lauren, you, this isn't your first time heading up sort of film curriculum you were a film teacher, right? Over at where?
I taught at Colorado Film School in Denver for like a year. I was doing 16 millimeter.
What is? I want some dirt on your students. What's the? I want hilarious stories.
Okay, so my students were really quiet the first couple days because I was the new person and I looked the same age as them. I had kids who were like 18 to like 36, and
That's
they
a
were
wide
all
range.
dudes.
That's
Yeah.
a wide range of people.
Yeah, no, this film school is just kids and adults from all walks of life. But I come in, and the first day of school was during the new presidential, like, when Obama was sworn in. So I was like, no, fuck this. We're going to watch this. This is history. And so my first class was like us watching TV. And the second class was everyone was really quiet. And it was all these, guys just staring at me and me trying to sound like, I know what I'm talking about. And the minute we finally broke the ice was when we were building one of the Aton 16 millimeter cameras,
Which is
And
which is a film camera.
a film
right?
camera. That was the course, was 16 millimeter film.
that's what they used to shoot videos on, right? Film.
And if you've ever built a camera or been on set, that's what she said is a really, really common occurrence. And I was the first one. I was like, you have to, just jam it in there or something really. And everyone was really quiet. And so I said, that's what she said. And then all of a sudden I was
perfect.
like,
That's what
super
she
cool.
said.
I was the
10 out of
coolest
10.
teacher. And then
Yeah, lunchtime they're like, yo, you
back
remember
in-
Lauren when she said that's what she said? I love that teach. I love that teacher.
That would have been back in the heyday of That's What She Said, too. Like, that would have been
That's
before
when it was-
2014 when you get strangled in the street for saying That's What
yeah,
She Said.
so finally I was like, cool. It
It's like,
wasn't like
okay.
scary or whatever. And that was pretty fun.
I have a question.
That whole class was really
How
fun.
long did you teach there?
I was only at Colorado Film School for a semester, and then I moved on to the Binning Family Foundation nonprofit, and they work with alternative learning youth and run a summer and winter film school program.
Oh,
Very cool.
so were you there long enough to get a ratemyprofessor.com page?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
Okay,
Can you look it up?
We're looking this up. that's so. What did you get from teaching that wide range of people? Right. It's like what was it like teaching like a 36-year-old?
Was it like teaching all males
and all males? Yeah.
That vast, diverse group
to
of
be
people.
fair, that's the core demographic. That's the one demographic that exists for television and marketing.
I don't know. It was I felt completely out of my element. I felt like I was just kind of thrown in there and being like, okay, well, I know all this stuff. Okay.
I'm sorry, you're not on RateMyProfessors.com.
Okay.
There's another Haroutunian, but it's not you.
How is she doing?
First of all, not everyone with a last name is the same.
Yeah,
gender.
but I'm just like I'd rather assume a woman at this point.
Pretty good. Pretty good. Overall, 3.9 out of 5. The kind of
Haroutunians are doing good.
Yeah,
the kind of Yelp rating that you would, like take a look at, think about, and if there wasn't any 4.5 stars around, you'd go to that restaurant.
All right.
4.5 stars always makes me suspicious. I think
On
4
Yelp?
stars is a perfect Yelp review.
4 stars is the perfect Yelp review because 4.5 stars means that someone is like.
It means it's like Pink's. It means it's like some like popular local place that's just guaranteed to be not as good as people are saying.
Yeah,
The
and then
spots.
also, there's also a weird like turnaround at the 3-star level. I found that a lot of times 3-star level you just completely write off. But some of my favorite places in the world are 3-star levels because if you go into it, there's some aspect of the place that people find like completely offensive to them, which I find completely awesome about that place.
If you can find a place that has over 20 reviews and it's somehow under 3 stars, like you got to go there.
Just to see what it's like.
They're surviving, so something's happening. But it's got to be interesting because you don't see under 3-star reviews.
No, very rarely.
Because that place would be shut down.
Right, yeah, the Yelp police would come and shut down the place.
The restaurant game's a hard game. If that
restaurant's that unpopular.
Let's put it this way. Even Panda Express in Burbank is rocking 2.5.
Yeah, well, of course, man. They're chicken.
That's a legit restaurant.
And to be fair, 2.5 is like that's way
which puts it on the
Panda
exact
Express.
same level as the Hometown Buffet just down the street.
We have not gone to Hometown Buffet yet.
Yeah,
when's
talked
that
about
going to
it.
happen?
So
We finally the
We
Dimension
keep joking
404
about it.
team. The Dimension 404 team finally went to Outback Steakhouse.
And how did you enjoy it?
It was
hated
good.
yourself.
Yeah?
Hated
It
yourself.
was. I got Parmesan crust on my steak, which was a little too much. Like that was. I didn't need that. We got a blooming onion. It was.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well,
How much did that cost you?
What is going on?
Well, like how expensive was that? How expensive?
I
was
feel like
Outback?
I'm being lured into a trap.
No, I'm being serious. How expensive is Outback?
I don't know. It was like probably like $20 a person or something. Yeah.
Because I was just talking about Olive Garden because I can't stand Olive Garden. And
what's your
Olive
so real
Garden.
quick? What is your least favorite chain restaurant?
I don't know. Probably maybe
Applebee's.
Applebee's is probably the worst.
Applebee's.
Sorry,
But
yeah,
so none of these people will
it's
sponsor this
bad.
podcast. But Olive Garden, it's not that Olive Garden. I went once with Lauren actually to talk about film school, I believe.
Yeah, because we were like, we haven't gotten to the Olive Garden.
Yeah.
It was fine.
It was like, yeah, it's whatever, it's fine. But you spend like $20 a person essentially.
Overpriced.
And just one night I went there, and there's a lot of nice, there's a lot of places you can eat where there's the Olive Garden. And I went there like on Saturday night. I was just going to the GameStop, and there's like a line for like an hour and a half to get into the Olive Garden. The line's no other, like I literally just got upset. I wanted to just scream at everybody. They'd be like, you could go anywhere else.
Yeah, my mom loves,
and have better food for cheaper.
Loves Olive Garden for
My
some
Was
reason.
she waiting in line for an hour and a half?
Garden.
Oh hell no!
Okay, good.
Like she goes there once.
Your
like,
grandma would though.
No, there's a line.
There's a-
I think half an hour is the line.
Okay.
So I
I feel like it's like if you're gonna wait longer than it would take you to eat dinner there, that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, or it
regardless
has
of
to
the-
be
yeah.
unbelievable. Like we would do that when Shinsengumi wasn't in downtown LA. You had to go to all the way down to kind of like near Torrance. And there, no matter what time you went, you're essentially guaranteed to wait an hour. And if you went during like a primo time, you could wait an hour and a half to 2 hours. But I mean, for the best
It's worth
ramen in
it.
town, it's worth it. Yeah,
So
do
good.
it.
arguably the best ramen in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That ranking has changed.
Arguably.
So I was in a
places.
wedding once. So the Empire Center in Burbank has an Olive Garden and the Panda Express and Outback.
It's a wonderful place.
It's a wonderful
Very
place.
good
Just every chain
Also
restaurant, every
Wendy's.
chain Wendy's.
It's right across the street.
So I was in a
where we're located.
So I was in a I was
It's
in
nearby.
It's nearby.
I was in a wedding once, and the preacher gave one of the weirdest like speeches about like love and like marriage and compromise.
Was there
He
an
gets up-
unlimited breadstick metaphor? Is that what this is
No,
going?
it's even arguably worse. Arguably worse. So he stands up, and it's one of those things where, as he was talking, you're in the heady
Was
rush.
he in a group sex? Is that what it was?
He was you were in the heady rush of at a wedding. You're like, okay, going along with it. It's beautiful. Such an awesome time.
Heady
for this.
rush. Yeah.
You're like, this is so great. And then like it was enough. Like you can say some weird. Like I feel like in that mindset in a group setting, you can say some weird stuff and people just kind of write it off because they're just with the momentum of the event. But it was enough that everybody like took a step back and it was just like, whoa, what is he talking about?
He said
this. He said this. He said he's like, marriage is about compromise. Like for example,
every impression you do is the same voice.
Well,
This guy has a lot of time.
Hey Matt, let me get through this without stopping over it every 3 seconds,
Marriage
Matt.
is a one
That's great. Great, Matt. Good radio, Matt. Just interrupt every 3 seconds, Matt. Sounds great. Fantastic.
These people are getting married and they park next to my house.
The lens aperture. Keep going.
Zoom
Go
in, you
on,
can
Freddie.
Go on.
Okay, all right. So he's like, marriage is
Sorry, go
it's
on.
like compromise because sometimes you, the husband, might want to go to Outback, and the wife might want to go to Olive Garden, and one would want to go to one restaurant, and you can't go to both. And I was like, are you kidding? He's using Outback and Olive Garden? I was like, you can't do both things? He's like, so perhaps this week you can go to Olive Garden, and then the next week she can go as a couple to Outback Steak. And I was like, this is insane.
I'm fascinated by this wedding party. He's just like, did he just do an Outback?
No,
and Olive Garden metaphor?
it wasn't
My
that.
God.
No, it wasn't that. It was confusion. Because you're just like, what is he talking about? Like, and why is he using these two chain
Perhaps you can
restaurants?
go to Olive Garden with your wife and get a little Outback on the side. And she doesn't have to know about it.
The
So I
real
took
hard choices in life.
So at the Empire Center, the Outback and the Olive Garden are right next to each other. So I took a picture. I'm like, don't ever come here. This is a nightmare. I sent to the couple. I'm like, this is a nightmare scenario for you two right here. This is so strange.
A real test of
Real
your
test
marriage.
of your
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah. So good
right.
podcast, everybody.
What did so my mom for some reason really likes Olive Garden. And here's the thing, right? So my mom like is incredibly picky about food. And I do this thing where every time she comes into town, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna find like a really good restaurant. It's considered a good restaurant, and I'm gonna take her there, and she'll like it. And then and we'll see what she says. And I've taken her to some really nice places around LA, and every time she's been like just completely unimpressed. There's a couple places that she's like, no, this is good. Like Shinsengumi is a place that she says is good, and Daikokuya is a place she's like, okay, this is good. But like I've taken her to like some like fancy like tapas place, and she's like, this sucks. Like everything here sucks. I'm like, really, Mom? Because I don't know. So people like it on the Yelp, and she's like, no, they're wrong. This place sucks.
She's got her own taste.
Well, but then here's the thing though, because I challenged her on this once. I'm like, no. She's like, I make this better. I'm like, no, you can't. She's like, I can make this better. I went home and she's like, hey, I figured out how to make that one dish, and she made it better. I'm like, okay, all right, fine, fair enough. You're right. Okay, but it's impossible to impress her. Except she really likes Olive Garden. And she also really likes Cheesecake Factory.
Well, see, to me, that proves that your mom doesn't know what the hell she's talking about food-wise. Like 100%.
Shots
Or
fired.
just that taste is 100% subjective. So.
No, but what I'm saying is that she gets, but she doesn't like the restaurant. She gets one thing in each of those places, and that's all she ever gets. And it's like, this is so weird.
Let's talk a little more about how hard Freddie tries to impress his mom, but nothing he does is good enough for her.
I think
that's really what's going on here.
Mom, here's
look into
another,
that.
here's another restaurant I really like.
It's
and-
called Video Game High School. I got 4 stars and Yelp. I am not impressed. I could have made this better.
I can make this better. I'm going to go make it better. Oh, here, I made Video Game High School better.
I'd like to see the version of VGHS that Mrs.
Well, we wanted
Wong's
to do
made.
a momentary.
Maybe the same thing
right?
where Freddie dies at the end.
Momentary.
Bing! Episode 4 spoiler.
Oh, we want to do that, right?
We want to do a
the-
momentary.
So the idea would be to bring on all of our moms and have them
I
commentate.
feel like your mom would act very different with a group of other moms.
absolutely.
Yeah.
If I was just like, hey mom, watch this episode and just talk about it and record her secret. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I should do that when I go home.
Yes.
Would she just talk throughout the whole thing?
I would
She just
tell her.
sit there and listen?
I would say, Mom, just talk about it and tell me what you think as it's going, and she would talk over it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should get a secret momentary and put it up.
Stealth
That'd be
momentary.
incredible.
So
It wouldn't be
great.
secret. She'd have to know what she's doing for her to. She's not gonna be like, yes. I can imagine a conversation. Mom, can you just watch this episode and talk out loud about what you're thinking about? Why? No reason. I'm not doing that. It sounds stupid,
No,
Freddie.
no,
reason. Are you recording me? No. It's supposed to be.
No, this is a secret.
She's like,
I mean, it's not a secret.
I'm
because
gonna go
nothing's
make
happening.
dinner now. Then you just walk away.
No. I think I could get. I think I could
You
get
have to
it.
tell her that you're doing commentary, because also she'd be more on. She'd be
Yeah,
like,
no, she's gonna be like, "Oh, I can embarrass Freddie in
Yeah,
front of all his
yeah.
friends." Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know your mom, but it's
She would
something that seems like
embarrass
a parent
Freddie.
would do. Yeah.
She would. She
Yeah.
would.
We should do a momentary.
What would your mom say?
She'd just be happy and proud of me.
Matt, what's that like?
What's
that like? That sounds nice.
That sounds nice.
She would just be like, I don't
You ever
understand
just
these
feel
video game
really
references.
warm and safe all the time because your mom loves you? That's what it's like.
Oh man.
My mom just likes everything with Brian Frenzy in it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no,
he's her
Brian's a
favorite.
hit with
Oh no,
moms.
say,
Yeah,
that's true. Moms
Actually, my
love-
mom loves Brian Frenzy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
She's like, he's funny.
That's
She thinks he's
my
hilarious.
girlfriend's mom was watches the show and he's her favorite character. It's the same thing. It's just like, oh yeah, the guy who plays the law is really funny.
If the
What do
one
you think it is? It's just like they just
know.
like messed up children. Like,
I don't know. It's just the one thing that all moms seem to agree on is Brian Frenzy's funny.
Brian
pretty
Frenzy,
funny.
kid tested, mother approved.
yeah, pretty much.
Let me take a quick moment here to tell you guys about a survey that we're doing on podsurvey.com/Facerocker. For the podcast, it lets us know kind of what you guys are, who are you all out there. It lets us be specific with kind of the ads.
Are you
And-
dancers or are you humans?
Right, exactly. It supports the podcast. They're giving away a $100 Amazon gift card. We are
Song
giving
came
away
out like 5 years ago, man.
Matt with an always
Matt just found this song by the Killers.
Hey guys, have you
Always-
heard this band? Killers.
always temporally relevant references from Matt
Did you guys see
Arnold.
this OK Go video where they're on the treadmills? Did you guys see that one?
So great, they're
What?
jumping around. Podsurvey.com/Facerocker. They're giving a $100 Amazon gift card. We're giving away 3 VGHS Rocketjump merch prize packs with Steam codes and everything. So head on over.
Was it like
there.
a sweepstakes thing?
A little bit, yeah. We're giving away some free stuff. some
I'll
random
throw
stuff.
in something on top of that sweepstakes.
Oh,
If you're
boy.
the winner,
Uh-oh.
ShotBot will record a voice message for you for your voicemail if you are over the age of 40 and still use a voicemail.
And by the way, if you don't want that, you don't have to take that.
Fuck you, Freddie. ShotBot's voice is hoarse today.
Are you sick too?
Huh?
Are you sick too?
No,
Or are
I
you
just
yelling too much.
I just scream too much.
We
All
hear
the
you in
screaming
writer's
goes
room.
out in that writer's room.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah. Head on over, fill out the survey, help us
So
out.
say the name of the thing again one more time.
The thing again one
The
more time.
URL.
Podsurvey.com/Facerocker.
Podsurvey.com/Facerocker.
Stop it.
Do we do this anymore? Every time we do that and I do the Vanna White on the video, you guys never put it up where my hands go and I look like
Yeah.
a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't know why we don't do that.
Yeah.
It's right here. This time it's happening.
Nope.
If it just says like, no, it's not, Will, right there, that would be pretty great. That would be like, well played.
Put it here instead.
yeah.
Don't put it there. Put it
move it
Everybody
right
with
here.
To everybody
Right
listening
here.
to this, Matt and Will are just holding their hands up into the air in some sort of weird portmanteau of the
is-
YMCA.
Matt should be like this, and then just says like Matt's penis. LOL. This would still be a pretty big like it's like
Says my face.
Tuesday pranked.
Damn, what now? So,
all right.
Matt,
So,
What do we do now? What games you
I
guys
was-
playing?
I was on the
For
last-
real. We just got Smash Brothers.
We
What
got
else is what?
Smash Brothers in the office, and we're never gonna get anything
yeah,
done
we just
again.
played 2 quick games. Everybody's been playing Mario Kart. I was just complaining about how there's too many. I guess that's a stupid thing to complain about. But there's a lot of good games coming out right now.
Yeah.
It's,
It's,
it's hard to figure out what to play. I'm still playing Destiny.
yeah, you are. You're on there.
I have like 260 hours on it across 3 characters. But there's Far Cry. There's Smash Brothers coming out. There's Toad, freaking Captain
Toad, I'm pretty hyped
Looks
for Captain
incredible.
Toad.
People are liking that.
What's Captain? Wait, what? Sorry, what's
Do you
Captain?
That looks
remember
pretty
Captain
cool.
Toad from the Super Mario 3D World? The little Captain Toad levels where you'd be Toad scooting around
It's
on
like
the
Mario without jumping.
There's a whole game of those.
It's great. It looks really good.
Did you guys know that Nintendo just released a thing that the little toads and toadettes can choose what gender they present as? So they're actually a genderless race.
That's fantastic.
That's pretty awesome.
And they just present gender. They don't even have gender.
It's like
Yeah,
straight up
it's
left hand of
Well, I
darkness
mean, they are
style.
mushrooms. Yeah.
They're little mushrooms.
That's great.
That's
That's
great, though.
wonderful.
So there's that game, which is
Captain
fantastic.
Toad.
Shadow of Mordor, which is supposed to be good, which I picked up by someone played. There's a lot of.
I can't look at Shadow of Mordor and not feel like Tolkien wouldn't approve of that game, though.
That's the reason everybody's like, how come you haven't played Shadow of Mordor? I'm like,
It's
because
just-
I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, which makes me almost not want to play that game
Because
because it
it's
feels
so
like
gritty, grimdark. Like
Yeah.
you're like this guy, and fuck you, Sauron and Blair. It's like if 30 years from now, like someone made like a Shadow of Hogwarts game where you were like this like grizzled wizard, like
Yeah.
fucking snapping like Dumbledore's neck, and then like J.K. Rowling like clearly would not approve of this game.
Well,
But
but
I
this
guess-
is-
it felt like Lord of the Rings presented by Christopher Nolan.
And
or
isn't
something.
there this whole
Oh,
thing
no.
where it's like,
shots fired.
Boom.
Oh, here we go.
Police scanner.
Do we
the
even wanna
Nolan
get into
report
that?
from Matt.
ladies and gentlemen, Matt Arnold has controversial
We
opinions.
got a lot of.
Call it time code right
Time
here.
code, call it
Close
right
at
here.
34 minutes.
34 minutes
First
in.
Christopher
First
Nolan.
Christopher
disc.
Nolan.
we
First
got-
Christopher Nolan
we got a lot
controversial
of-
opinion.
We got a lot of hate for all of our Interstellar hate.
Really?
Yeah, or maybe you.
You guys are professional filmmakers now. You are in the big leagues. You can't just throw your weight around on Twitter shit talking the latest releases. You guys aren't little nerds at computers anymore. You're big league.
No,
Matt,
we definitely can't. It just means that we are. You have to take your responsibility from it. It means if I met Christopher Nolan, I have to explain my words if he ever heard what they were.
You don't see Tarantino mouthing off on
You
Twitter.
do actually. He does the worst movies of the year.
No, he does his best movies.
And he does good, and he does nice tries.
He does the nice try, but even the nice try is not it's not like what you do when you talk about Christopher Nolan, where you're like, Christopher Nolan murdered my entire family. To be 100%
fair, that's not at all what I said about Interstellar. I actually said it's worth seeing because I wish more blockbusters were this ambitious. I just had major problems with the story.
And I feel like, I'm gonna be totally honest. I feel like, Matt, you would have much less to say about Christopher Nolan if everyone else in the world around you didn't like love everything that he did so much. I feel like
definitely a part of it was just me.
Definitely a part of you responding to people liking him so much.
No, without a doubt. And it's not about being reactionary. It's about like I care about kind of film culture and where things are going, and I want to nudge away from.
Good news. Nobody liked Interstellar, so
yeah. And Dark Knight Rises, everybody realized about 4 months later that it was bad. Like when it came out, everybody was like, "No, it's great. Well, you guys are wrong." And then everybody was like, "Oh."
Did you guys
we don't
see
like
that
this movie anymore?
AMC made an Interstellar pass where you could buy a pass and
see it as many times as you want. Yeah.
Amount.
Wait, no way.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, people were like, I notice something new every time I see it, or it's better every time I see it. So they're doing like $30 like buy a pass.
Sounds like a great way to go movie hopping.
What a weird.
That's really weird.
That's like a $30 let me into the theater and see whatever I want this month pass.
Yeah.
Again, that's even mind blowing to me because I think even Interstellar was a Spielberg script. Like it's a super straightforward.
It wasn't a Spielberg script.
I mean, it was a script that Spielberg was interested in the first place and who was going to do more or less.
Spielberg's. I actually read an article about it. Like Spielberg's version of it was way different.
It was different,
and then they rewrote it. Like with the Spielberg version, they actually don't cut back to Earth. You're just following him, and it goes to like crazy places. Like I was on Slash Film, they were talking about like it gets super weird, like aliens and like all this other goofy stuff happens. Yeah,
not coming back to Earth would have been good, but
would have been good.
Would have been good. No, but the point is that Interstellar is not like that difficult of a movie to like 2001: Space Odyssey would make sense to watch like a million times. You're like, whoa, I figure out something else every time. Like Interstellar is weirdly like this is like his most straightforward movie. Like even as much as like Prestige.
Yeah, and
which
like
has
and
more
as much
like
as that,
weirdness,
and like arguably even like something like probably the most complex movie like Memento or something. It's like you can get it after a couple viewings. You know, it's not like a
Memento's a masterpiece. See, I like Christopher Nolan's stuff.
It is
a
actually
masterpiece.
it is great.
Prestige.
Yeah, but it's
like
not
Prestige
like
a lot too.
I love that
And
movie.
not a big Prestige fan.
See?
I only saw it the one time though.
God,
so.
well, why do you hate Christopher Nolan so much?
Because that's the same thing as
I love Prestige. I love Memento. I liked Inception. I like Dark Knight. I love the first half of Batman Begins is like one of my favorite superhero things ever. Just really did not like Dark Knight Rises or Interstellar very much.
All right. That's fair. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're not
Christopher Nolan. You're officially invited to come onto the Facerocker podcast and defend.
Could you imagine this? Could you imagine?
Arnold.
By the way, the ultimate Matt Chat podcast would be Matt in the middle, and then Christopher Nolan on one side, and Zack Snyder on the other side, and just Matt would just
get weird in there.
Now that would get weird over the microphone.
That would get weird.
Oh god.
Matt has such weird feelings about Zack Snyder. It's conflicted.
It would just end with
all weird feelings.
It would just end with all three of them making out on the table.
Just making it.
Zack Snyder's a brilliant aestheticist, and he has incredible style, and but I don't know what else. His movies are difficult to kind of appreciate beyond that sometimes. But I love watching.
I remember you getting real stressed out about Sucker Punch when that movie was coming out.
Like I've watched that movie on silence before, just like in the background. And it's like it's pretty gorgeous, and there's incredible stuff in it.
Me and Matt have argued a lot about Sucker Punch.
It's again my thought on Sucker Punch is its heart and what it was trying to say was indeed interesting and probably correct on the side of like gender things, but it doesn't change the fact that how it actually comes out is probably 100% 180 of what it was trying to say. Unfortunately,
I would have liked to see Sucker Punch directed by a woman, and I don't give a crap about what Zack Snyder has to say about women. He has no respect for me or weight.
That's a good point.
Some white
that
dude
would be, by the
don't
way,
need to listen to him.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point.
I think that would be fascinating, by the way, to see that and just be like, what are the differences here with the same script? In a movie like that specifically, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that would. Oh man, I just can't. Could you imagine how many retweets you would get, Matt, from that podcast?
I mean, I don't know. I think you overplay how much I care. Twitter's just this like vomit that I just throw out stuff on sometimes.
There you go,
Vomit.
everyone following Matt Arnold on Twitter. The vomit.
It's just recently friends like Matt tweets out like he has 1 million subscribers and stuff. It's like I've never asked you to link me on my Twitter. I've never been very proactive in my Twitter, and it's just another
I'm
thing.
the biggest Matt. How dare you? I'm
It's
the
just-
biggest advocate for your Twitter.
I'm saying
because it
I've
is
never it's just a
constantly-
thing. It's just
it
just
is
like any other
because of that
outlet
and
of
because of that
randomness.
it is constantly the most entertaining Twitter feed of all time because of just how
glad.
insane.
Matt's not here to make friends. He's
No.
like he's
He's here to get his-
the sassy roommate on a reality show.
I just have a separation from real life and Twitter, so I always forget that people I know actually read my
Yeah,
Twitter
that's
feed.
how I'm
It's
just
like,
like,
oh,
oh,
wow,
wait.
the weirdest crap, and then I read it back maybe 2 days later. I'm like, man, I sound like a fucking
Yeah, or
idiot.
I'll say something and then like somebody from Lionsgate like tweets back at me and like what I just said was like, hey, VGHS comes out, like, oh cool, I'm excited. I'm like, oh crap. They were reading like all the other stuff I was writing too. Well, whatever.
Watch Hunger Games. It
Authenticity.
comes out today or last week because it's next week.
That's right, it comes out in a while.
Over
Did anybody else
Thanksgiving
see it?
weekend.
Did anybody else see Mockingjay?
I didn't even see there's another one in between this one
Yeah,
and the other
Catching
one, right?
Fire.
Catching Fire. I'd missed that.
Should
Well,
know.
here's,
You
okay,
should-
here's
you
what
should
happened.
know. You should know.
I have not seen the new one, but I love Lionsgate and I love
Well, here's what happened.
our first look deal with Lionsgate. Here's what happened. I love the Hunger Games.
Here's what happened. I came home one day and
Lionsgate's cool. We can say what we feel. I mean, I do like the Hunger Games. That's why I was excited to go see it.
I
It
came
just
home.
sense like our
I know.
red dot sniper right here.
Will's not the biggest Hunger Games fan, but that's okay.
Just out me. That's fine.
That's okay.
I think they're wonderful films.
see, so
Wait,
I
can I
guess
say
I've never
real
seen
quick?
Mockingjay too. So
Well,
that's
can I
too
say a
bad.
real quick thing about the Hunger Games and Battle Royale?
Yeah.
Because if for
Well,
those
are
of
you
you-
about to make a controversial statement that they're
No, it's
very
not that-
similar?
no.
They're actually not that
They're
similar.
not at all,
Yeah.
actually.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the basic premise of like, okay, dystopian society, kids battling it out for the entertainment of the rest of society, and that's part of a government control thing, which is Battle Royale as well. But it's one of those things where like you read all the interviews with the author of Hunger Games, and every single one, it's like almost it feels like a prepared statement for that, where she's like, no, I based this on the Theseus and the Minotaur.
Are you saying a writer who has a multi-million-dollar franchise has a prepared statement when they interview her?
No, but here's
Are you suggesting that?
What
no,
are
but
you
here's
saying?
what I'm saying though. But here's what I'm saying. I think
Freddie's
that's
demanding for ethics in young adult
I
novels.
need
That's what
actually
going on.
This is probably what
ethics in young
The
adult
first time
fiction.
she answered that question,
no.
it was probably off the spot. It was probably off the cuff, and she was just like, "No, I hadn't read the book." And now that she knows that that's going to be asked in
No, but I
essentially
don't buy that.
every
Here's the thing.
interview
Here's what I'm put it this way. I don't buy
I
that. for one
100%
second.
buy that because that movie wasn't even available in the United States.
No, I don't. Because here's why. Because every single time you go to somebody and you say, "Hey, I got this idea for a thing," and you kind of like outline it out, the first response out of that person's mouth is, "That's cool."
Who gives
Have
a
you-
fuck if she read it
Well,
or
first
not,
of all,
though?
there's two. The thing is not that different, but no, I legitimately buy it because again, I think you're super overestimating who knew about. When I was in film school, I could find 2 people who had ever heard about Battle Royale. It is an incredibly hard movie to even have heard of. You had to have watched violent Japanese stuff or be into like Asian cinema
not necessarily.
to even know what Battle. No, absolutely.
I agree with that
It
on
never
that one.
was put out anywhere. It was never on DVD. You
And
had to get it.
I-
Well,
Yeah,
no,
no
but the
release
reason
in
why,
America.
I remember. Well, okay, all right, but I remember there was actually a lot. I remember hearing about the movie initially from a lot
Plus-
of news coverage in the States from it. as
Yeah,
well.
but the movie
Look,
came out.
beyond that, it's also like the what happens in Hunger Games is again, it's like
it's
there's
different. I'm
a
not saying it's the
sacrifice
same.
element to it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
in Battle Royale, it's like just like the shittiest class in Japan gets sent to an island to
Yeah.
fight each other.
Yeah,
like,
it's like-
all of the kids have pre-existing relationships. Like it's like a
It's
Well,
like
and
Hunger.
I remember reading about the Greek stories that was based off of in high school, and that's the first thing I thought of. I didn't go to Battle Royale in my mind. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like that one cool book I read in
Hunger
history
Games
class.
is as similar to Battle Royale as video game high school is to Harry Potter. Like it's about
There's similarities.
They ripped it off.
yeah. I mean, it's yeah, but it's so of course she's got a prepared statement, but it's what's fascinating to me, like ignoring like the quality of the movies, which again I do personally enjoy them a lot. We can get a third
So
one.
do all of us.
No, but I do. But what's fascinating about sucks because now it sounds just like a Lionsgate podcast.
God.
But what's crazy is when you go watch the third movie, 90% of that movie is like mass graves and like commentary on propaganda. Is like the darkest. Like there's no other franchise out there that's like $100 million per movie that makes $1 billion. that's pretty much just about kids killing each other and mass murder across 2 different governments. Like, it's a really weirdly dark, cynical.
I mean, I totally 100% understand why teenagers are into that. Like,
I did for the first. I had never read the 3rd book, so I did for the first 2 movies. And I know the response to the 3rd book. I'm curious as to how those same fans like the next 2
because
movies.
it's the dystopian society, the dystopian allegorical, like the metaphor there is school and your parents.
And
like,
it's all going down.
This Orwellian world that controls your every move. That's like what a kid deals with every single day. So of course they're going to be appealed.
Volunteering for
the
tribute,
idea-
it's like having to do the dishes.
Yeah, it's I mean that in a real way.
No.
Like, yeah, I get exactly why the story of somebody upturning that whole paradigm is incredibly compelling for a young person.
But but then the 3rd, at least again, I haven't read have you read the 3rd book? Mm-hmm. So I can tell, and I kind of based off of what I hear of people's dislike of it, is the 3rd book seems to kind of be a giant middle finger to adolescents, like being indulged in that. Like, it very much is like
big
it sucks.
dose of reality.
Yeah, it's like it just rebelling sucks too. Like, it all sucks. Everybody murders each other.
Well,
like,
you just don't win in that situation. There is no way to win.
yeah,
like-
the problem is that it shouldn't have been split into 2 movies. Probably,
Yeah.
it's like it's a really, really smart, intense. 80 minutes stretched out to 2 hours. So
Yeah. I really liked how it ended. I think it was the most realistic and truthful of how.
Did you read all 4 books?
All 3. Yeah.
All 3 books.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Read all 3. And it is a very like sad.
Mhm.
It's good, but it's a very sad kind of like, oh man, the whole situation just sucked. And I think if they had that happily ever after thing, the whole horror of what just happened would have been erased. So I think the ending of the books was great, but it is for, I think, teenagers, and it's really kind of disappointing.
Well,
So it
can we-
sounds like Brian and Jenny not getting
Well, can we
together.
talk
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's exactly.
Well, but can we talk about for a second how many like it was this weird like wave of correct? Because it was nobody would have guessed this, right? It was first vampires and werewolves, and then it's basically turned into dystopian fantasies, right? Because there's so many of these. I didn't realize
Apocalypse
how many.
porn.
Like, well, it's like weird apocalypse porn, teenage dystopian.
But the adult
Fantasy
too.
Dystopia
stuff.
is different than apocalypse, though.
Well,
Yeah,
no, but like
that's
no, because you talk about like you see like did you read
No, but-
or hear about was it Maze Runner? You hear
Yeah,
about
that's
that
like
one?
I
more
heard about it. I
dystopian.
haven't read it.
Yeah, it's like again the same thing. It's like
I
sort of
really
dys-
should have been a Pac-Man adaptation, Maze Runner. That would have been great.
It just turns
Just
out
one man wakes up in a maze filled with specters, and he's gotta escape.
Maddie's little brother, O'Doyle in VGHS, her little brother's in the Maze Runner.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
in the movie.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I will have to go see that
he
movie
has
now.
retweeted me once when I mentioned Maddie, so thanks, Maddie's little brother.
I feel like you might have been on something, which is like when you're a young adult, it's dystopian, because dystopian is very different from apocalypse.
Yeah.
So somebody's like, oh, the this world is not what I think it is. It's so different. I'm gonna rebel. And then adult, you're like, the world just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, and it's like, even though Game of Thrones isn't quote unquote apocalypse, it's like it's telling that all the top shows kind of are all serial killers, and you're in this like. True Detective
It's
might as well be in
chaos.
fantasy land.
It's
Like,
chaos.
it's an apocalyptic
Right,
world.
it's the opposite of an ordered, like democratic society. It's chaos and
and
disorder.
it's this weird.
Well, it's also, I mean, it's a reaction to how plugged in we are and like
Yeah.
how connected you are to everybody and Facebook and stuff like that. And then again, it's this fantasy where you see yourself as, man, if just all of this shit blew up, I'd be the one to survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
there's something like we get back to like the primal,
Yeah.
Which is also just it just presents a context where all of the socially unacceptable stuff that you can't do is then like you get
which
to
is why
adult
it's
time.
interesting, because it gets into kind of waves, like kind of cultural, like kind of the response becomes what becomes more indulgent and like realistic. And now I think you're at the point where everything that's kind of apocalyptic is kind of the really immature, indulgent. Is what people want to see, and actually doing something very cheerful would be the hard thing. Whereas in the 40s, doing something very cheerful is just indulging in what society's telling you it is.
It's like, we won the war.
World War II is great. Here's some lucky strikes.
yeah. So it's
Smoke
like
this cigarette and punch Hitler.
Yeah, well, it's still an escapist thing. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's interesting that the big wave of dystopian stuff has female protagonists at the middle of it.
yeah, especially in young adult novels
Yeah,
across the board.
and I don't know. It's interesting to see how those characters react in that situation, and that they've chosen female characters to react in that situation, and a lot of the usual trappings that female characters have to go to are thrown out the window.
Shadow of
thrown
Mordor
into-
now has a DLC that you can make the main
I
character
heard.
female, which weirdly
Ooh.
enough did make me about 20% more interested in playing.
Yeah, I was like, all right.
I was like, it's
I'm
not
like
a white male.
50% more
Yeah, it's not like-
interested in playing that, actually.
This is completely
can we?
unrelated.
Can we do Bayonetta chat for a second?
Ooh, Bayonetta.
yeah.
I have been.
Oh my
I
God.
just beat Bayonetta 2, and I haven't played the first game, and so I had no idea what the hell's going on. But I loved it.
Bayonetta's incredible.
But it does kind of fly in the face of everything that, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like she's like this super sexy witch that gets naked and stuff like that. But, like, I don't know. Like, it worked for me for some reason. It sounds so gross.
This has been really interesting.
I'd be curious as to what. I mean, I know kind of what Lauren's gonna say because she was watching me play it.
Yeah.
And you're calling it like an R-rated Sailor Moon.
Almost.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'd be curious as to what you think of it. I have my own thoughts.
Yeah, no, I need to play more of it to see, and I've read some problematic stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always something
Yeah.
problematic in it.
By the
but,
way, real quick.
The creator, the way he talks doesn't help. Kind of my defense, unfortunately. Though most of what he's saying is just like him being like a hip, cool Japanese guy.
You have to separate
kind of.
problematic with generally Japanese.
Yeah, and as bad as that sounds, it's kind of true. Like some of the stuff he's saying kind of fits if you kind of understand what's going on over there a little bit on their culture side. But it is like you say like, oh, Bayonetta is like progressive and kind of works, and they're like, he said all women should dress like this. You're like, oh damn.
yeah, no,
Messed up right
it's.
now.
I mean, there was a couple articles that I really agreed with like this game is so bizarre that you can take your own subjective. You can decide what it means to you. There are a couple like on the second playthrough, there are a couple of death animations that are a little like man smoking in bed next to her, just implying things. But the thing I like about it is that. And this is what I love about Sailor Moon is that her power and everything is extremely feminine.
Yeah.
And it's not a submissive feminine. It is a in your face. I'm going to strangle you with my hair.
Yeah.
Butterflies.
Yeah.
Like
Punch you in the face.
Gun heels.
This
Yeah.
is gun heels. Like I'm going to fucking murder you. Feminine.
Yeah.
And it's her power. It isn't like a performance. It's more like this is what it fucking is. You should be afraid of me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, she does like the diva platform like catwalk when she's like shooting guys, and it's like this very what I like about it is that it's like this again. It still seems empowered and like she's the boss of that
Well,
game.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
Like,
it
it's
brings
not-
up the point that it may be the first, because that's the thing is like there's something to be said. It's like it's great. Like everybody should be worried about gender issues, but there's also a problem with reactionary, which kind of then just goes in the opposite direction where feminism just becomes desexualized, which is totally incorrect. Like women should be as sexualized as they choose to be. That's the whole point of it. Is how much do you choose to sexualize yourself? Like how
Sex positive feminism.
exactly.
People that were going out on like the Jennifer Lawrence thing, they're like, oh my god, she puts out really like pictures in like underwear. So too bad. It's like she chose to put those out. She didn't choose to put those out. That's literally the only difference. It doesn't matter if she's been naked before. She chose to
It's
do
consent.
that.
Yeah.
It's consent. And there's a really good point with Bayonetta. It's like she may just be the most sexual. She may just be the first female protagonist who just consents to everything. Like she's just very sexual. Like Bayonetta's just
It's not even
incredibly
consent. It's enthusiastic.
exactly. She's
consent.
like
it's
exactly.
the definition
It's
of
not like
enthusiastic consent.
this is how it works. It's more like
I'm
fuck
having a great time.
Yeah, she's like,
naked
I'm
butterflies
exactly.
with the huge stiletto gun
like
heels.
if I wasn't
she
playing,
loves this.
if I wasn't playing or watching, she'd be doing the same thing. She's just like I like to get naked and throw demons out of my hair and eat people. Like this is what I do.
It's her turf.
What I love is like because again it's like there's just some of the things the game does that to inner character. Because again playing the game, I thought she was a great main character. Like I thought I was just fat. It just was a total blast and like very compelling because it was like the non-phased reaction to these like you as the player are scared when you see like it's like the game just throws these huge like 8-headed angel demon monsters. You're like, I remember the first time I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to do. What is this? And then Bayonetta's like, whatever. Okay, I got to do this before I go shopping. And then you're like, all right, if Bayonetta thinks it's okay, I'm sure we're going to figure this out. Like, I don't want to disappoint Bayonetta. We're going to make this work. And it's just like, it's a really refreshing character type to see.
There's something about the content. Somebody had a good thing where they were like saying like, is Bayonetta like like a progressive like female empowerment, or is it like regressive like sexualization? Somebody's like, I think it's just in the middle, which is just it's like transsexual, like camp, like cross dressers. Like, can't it just be camp? Like, he was just like, I don't think it's either of those. It's so far out of the norm. Like, there's nothing normal about it. It's so in a different stratosphere. And the fact the other reason it works is in the context of the most like operatic heaven versus hell.
Yeah,
like
bizarre.
Bibles close, opera music plays,
Yeah.
angels come down from heaven, you punch God in the face. Like it's such a bizarre context that's like it's not the same thing as Tomb Raider. Like, it's just not-
My girlfriend described it as the game's aesthetic. It's basically like BDSM meets Lisa Frank.
Oh my God. Yeah.
meets Dante's Inferno and Purgatorio. Like that's essentially like the
That's probably why I liked it. Lisa
Just like,
Frank is the shit.
Yeah.
It's insane, and yeah, it is. And then beyond all that, it's just like
It's also a fantastic
Yeah, it's
game.
just the most perfect action gameplay ever made. It takes everything that Devil May Cry and made it perfect. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Bayonetta,
Yeah.
Good game.
great game.
Bayonetta 2. Try that. Another reason to own a Wii U. Matt's sitting there just counting his shares of Nintendo stock.
Do you have Nintendo stock? Are you a
No, I don't have
Nintendo?
Nintendo stock. I just have stock in the
That he can
glory of
publicly
Nintendo.
disclose.
Yes.
Nintendo.
Nintendo. I've invested in big Nintendo street cred. Just up right now.
Nintendo's been crushing it.
Matt's put all of his reputation
Remember
on.
a year ago, everyone was like, "Nintendo's done, dude. They're
I've
done."
always hung on, and I tweeted, as Freddie will know, as if I had a million followers. I'm like, whatever. This is the cycle. Everybody complains about Nintendo being dead, and then a year later they're fine and they're doing fine. They'll be
Nintendo
okay.
doing good.
That's what happens when you make the best games on the planet consistently.
There you
They've
go.
been my true love since NES.
There you go.
Mario Kart comes out. That's the only thing we play in the office. We only play Mario Kart.
And now
There it
Smash
is.
Brothers.
And now it'll be Smash Brothers. And they don't have bugs. That's the one nice thing.
Yeah, how about that? Was was it Unity at a time?
Yeah,
And
well,
then-
it's kind of off topic, but it's just this guy had this incredible comment. I think it was on Reddit, but someone was just like, "Okay, guys, let's be fair. Like, they're like, let's give Ubisoft the benefit of the doubt. They're right. They didn't have time to add female characters in Unity. They didn't even have time to finish the game. It was such a good burn.
And on that
jab.
enjoy your bug-filled experience at home, everybody, or your bug-free experiences with Nintendo games, as Matt said. Once again, hit up our survey, podsurvey.com/facerocker. Get a chance to win some cool stuff, help out the podcast. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, of course, to recording engineer extraordinaire Alex Reeves, Point of Blue Studios, for making us sound good or better on the audio sense than what we usually sound like rambling idiots.